Now we will discuss about some of the food additives, and at this stage we are discussing food enzymes. Food enzymes are very important industrially, and there are many enzymes produced industrially. They are added for a variety of reasons. So they are actually even food enzyme production is a big industry because enzyme have got many applications in the food industry. But they also have importance in our lives and in the growth and survival and metabolism of any living organisms. As you know that enzymes would catalyze the chemical reactions that are there in every living organism. So every living organism, whether small or big, complex or simple, they would have a lot of enzymes, and these enzymes would be needed for the normal growth and living of the organisms. If we talk about the mechanism of enzymes, how they actually work within the living bodies, it can have two steps process. For example, the first step is E plus S, that is enzyme plus substrate. They come together and they make up a product ES, or enzyme substrate complex. So these are the temporary phase that enzymes would be attaching to the substrate. And as you might recall from your previous education, that enzymes and substrate would have a key and lock mechanism. For example, they would have a specific shape that is attached to the substrate based on that exact shape. So one enzyme would be particularly attaching to a particular substrate, and it would not attach to any other substrate. So they are very specific, and they can only work with selected substrates. So once this enzyme is attached to the substrate, this becomes occupied, and the enzyme substrate complex is formed that does not stays there forever. It only is a temporary phase for which this enzyme substrate complex lives there, because otherwise we would end up all the enzymes that are available within our bodies. So it has to be released from the substrate as well. That's why it goes to the next step, the step 2 here, that is enzyme substrate this complex. It would be added, and it would work with one of the reactant within the living bodies, and that would make up a product plus enzyme. So now we are released, the enzyme have been released from this enzyme substrate complex by the help of a reactant. So these reactants are again present within the same environment within our bodies for normal metabolic functions. So the enzyme has been released and product has been formed. These are the products which are again needed for the life. They are needed for the living functions of living organisms. So these products cannot be made without enzymes. As we said, they catalyze the chemical reactions, which otherwise would need a very high amount of temperature for those reactions to take place. But because we have a body temperature that cannot be changed, so enzymes are needed for these reactions to take place under controlled body temperature conditions. So now we have a product that has been made by the action of enzyme. These reactions, as I earlier said, all the reactions would need a certain temperature at which the reactions take place. So that is called as the activation energy for a reactions to take place. And here is an analogy that normally, as you can see, that there is a stone that is being thrown down the hill. Although this largest stone has been thrown down the hill, it would have a lot of potential energy, and it can lead to a series of reactions, or it can lead to even disasters. For example, we see in the case of glaciers. But in order for this stone to be released from top hill, it needs at least a little energy. Although it would produce a lot more energy, the potential energy is there, but initially small energy is needed, the activation energy is needed. So that has to be supplied within the living organism's body so that these enzymes start working. And once they once they have been given this energy, then there is a series of reactions that can take place afterwards. So they are very much dependent upon temperature, as we said, and this temperature cannot be changed. It can be changed in the lab condition, it cannot be changed in the body condition, because our bodies are adjusted to a particular body temperature that normally does not change. So all life need enzymes, whether simple, complex, higher level organisms, or small members, or the smaller level organism in the hierarchy of living systems. And all life depends, because all the nutrients that we get from food, they have to be transferred into products, and the simpler products, and those simpler products are used by the cell as metabolic energy, and this metabolic energy keeps the living things alive as long as these are provided in enough quantities. So once the enzymes they stop their functions, that would mean the end of life. So this was all about enzymes, or food enzymes, that are very much vital for living organisms.